What's up, everybody? Welcome to Evolution to Recovery, the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, like, hit the bell notification. Also, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And I said, what did I say the last time? I said some dumb shit on Twitter. I am doing it. But anyway, yeah, we're on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Also, YouTube. Please go to Evolution to Recovery. Subscribe, like, hit the bell notification. It's very important to watch it if you can. If you have time, watch the full thing. What I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start making shorter clips so it's easier for people to watch. If you want to watch the whole video, then you could go on there. That'll be available too. But I do appreciate everybody that is subscribed, everybody that does watch, even on Facebook, likes, all that stuff like that, because it does help. And, sharing it does get the message out there. And what the message is, though, is that this has nothing to do with me. I am the host of the show. Yes, I do talk. Sometimes people don't talk. I talk a lot, I've been told, which I do like taking criticism. Don't matter to me. I want to hear that. That's good stuff. And it's really about people that get sober, though, that can change their lives around. Recovery does work, and people can change, and people can stop, overdosing, dying, and getting that stigma, because we do get sober and we do recover. Today, I got my good friend here with me. I haven't seen him in a long time either, though. He's a firefighter, Sean Dugan, Fishtown native, you know what I mean? And, welcome, dude.
Thanks, Bob.
And thank you for coming.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And
so really, I'm really a Fishtown, Port Richmond kid. This, like being on camera, it's different. It's new, right? And like the reason you reached out to me was because I put something out there like 3 weeks ago about trying to start my own podcast called Anything But Sports.
Yeah.
And it was just something that, like, the idea came to me. I had it forever, but like a lot of fear, time. And what happened is that a guy that I coached with, Jack O'Neill, passed away. And this dude, was a man of faith, a man of family. He was a Vietnam vet. He served 3 tours. He was a lifelong soccer coach at St. Joe's Prep and at Lighthouse, right? Volunteered at Lighthouse. Just a great human being, right? And he passed away. And it's like, that was somebody that I should have had on a podcast and interviewing, like, to let the world know who he is, because we're constantly looking for all these heroes in our lives when they live next door to us. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, they're right down the street, dude. And like the beautiful thing about AA, like I said, 12-step program. I hate when I do that, right? Already, first thing I did. And
we just got done.
Just got done saying I won't do that. And 12-step program, right, is that like, when we have anniversaries or I speak at an anniversary or stuff like that, and my family comes, like my family leaves there and they're like, dude, I loved it. My families aren't, they're not alcoholic. They don't need a 12-step program.
And they live through the situation with you, though, too, also, though. And they're saying
but it's not even that. Like, say it was my anniversary, the way South Philly does, you have 2 speakers, right? I would have 2 people come down and speak, and they would leave like, dude, I loved it down there. And it was because it's human beings relating on to human beings on a different level. Right, like that doesn't happen at your everyday life. That doesn't happen. Like, even when you were like, even if you're a normal socialized drink, whatever it is, it's like, I never went to the bar, bellied up, and be like, dude, you want to talk about your feelings and emotions tonight?
Yeah.
What? Yeah. Like, you look at, you have like 6 heads, and I got homies, my buddies who I grew up with, I love to this day, that we have different and special relationships, but it ain't this.
Yeah,
it's just not.
There's nothing like that.
No,
crazy.
But like that's the thing though too. Like, because of this. Like, I get to be there for them during difficult times in their lives. Where, like, I know, like, one of my buddies just lost his wife within the last year or 2. Another one lost her dad, and it's heavy conversations, man. And they don't come naturally to me. But I know that I'm more well equipped to just make the phone call and just talk about that kind of stuff than people that really aren't integrated in something like this. Like that's the special thing about all this, and I don't think that makes me special. I just think it makes me a part of this.
Now, with the gentleman that you were talking about, Jack, right? That was his name. You said Jack, and he was a vet.
Yeah.
And he coached. What did he coach?
He was a soccer coach.
Soccer coach.
Yeah,
Because you played soccer.
Yeah, I got involved when I got sober. 2011, finally stayed sober. I went back to my alma mater, Roman Catholic. I went there for 8 years and totally fell in love with it, man. Like, I fell into it by accident. Really, my little brother has been a better soccer player than me for a long time because I got better at a different lifestyle rather quickly. Sure. And the neighborhood kid, Danny D, was the athletic director at Roman, and they needed a freshman coach, and they said, yo, why don't you go ask Dugan? And he went and looked for my little brother. And I just happened to be down the shore on a Labor Day weekend and ran by where Roman was playing down there. and signed up to be their freshman coach, and then became a part of their varsity when the season ended, and then 7 years later, eventually walked away. And the reason for that was, my nephew chose St. Joe's Prep over Roman, and I was going to just leave altogether.
Okay.
Because it's a lot. It's time consuming. I have 2 young kids now, but I was a pro, and then kind of threw my name in the hat and was a part of that for 2 years. And the biggest blessing of all that was getting to be a part of my nephew's freshman, sophomore year there. He's going to be a junior next year. And being on the sidelines with a dude like Jack O'Neill.
Yeah.
And really, I knew him, but then I got to know him.
How are your feelings when he passed?
It was hard, but here's the deal. Because of what I'm doing, where I'm at, tragedy happens. It's not my tragedy.
Yeah.
Right? You want to get through something like that, go help their family.
Yeah.
You want to get through something like that, go help somebody that was closer to them.
Be supportive.
That's all it is, man. And he got diagnosed and he was pretty sick, and I got to have some pretty cool conversations with him, man. He was a man of faith, where he would just tell me, he's like, I'm not scared to die. He's like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
He said, but that's why he was always at church. He lives around the corner. He's always in the front row. I would drop my daughter off at school, and he'd be up there, and we would just say hello and have conversations. And he was a special dude, man. Just one of them guys that had the ability to make you feel like nobody else in the world existed at that time when they were talking to you. I don't have that gift. You know why? I have ADD, and I'm all over the place. But he was that guy, and it's people like him I just like talking about. Another one was a guy, Buddy Murphy, who took me to my first meeting. And he was just he made me feel okay, everything was going to be okay. And I didn't stay sober when he did that, but there's these unique individuals, and Buddy passed too, and I like talking about Buddy because I miss him. Yeah. Same with even why I linked up with South Philly people in the beginning is I was scared to go into my own neighborhood to these 12-step meetings and be like, somebody might see me.
Yeah.
Well, it's well, what do you think they're doing there, bud?
Yeah.
They're there to get help as well. And these South Philly people took me under their wing. They didn't ask me where you were from or who you were with or who you're around. No one cared, man. You got a problem with drinking? You're in the right spot.
Yeah.
And there was this little crew that took me in, and this kid, Ricky, was one of them. And Ricky died.
Yeah.
And Ricky will always hold a special place in my heart because I just like talking about him, man. I miss him. What a beautiful dude. And the thing about that, Rob, is we bury beautiful dudes every day with this kind of stuff. Right? And
you try to cherish the memories, the good memories, rather than focus on the harsh reality of somebody passing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's
what it is.
But again, not to make it about myself either.
A guy told me that
he had his family, his mom and his sister, and his brother and cousins, and all these dudes that were way closer than him than I was. And but the crazy part was he spoke for me at a meeting. I had 90 days. That was my first dude I grabbed. Coming down to a Fishtown, meeting, and he had 7-8 months, on a Wednesday night, and Ricky was dead on Sunday.
Yeah.
And
it's a harsh reality.
That's the reality of what we're up against.
Reality. Yeah.
What we deal with, and a lot of these stories, right? If you got the knot in the throat, I always talk about the knot in the throat, and when you first you can't talk about it because I'm going to cry.
Yeah.
But after a while, you're able to kind of
get choked up.
Yeah, you're able to process and deal with it in a healthy manner, and even crying and stuff like that, dude. It's no cool way of saying some of this shit, but flowers need water to grow.
Yeah.
Right, a dude told me that a long time ago, where it's just okay. I still don't do it often, don't do it a lot. I might, here and there, but a lot of times, the tears today are of gratitude, an appreciation for life and what's going on.
The guy told me the same thing. He said, "Don't make it about you. Be supportive, or stay out of it."
Well, yeah,
because that's what people do. They do that. They'll beat themselves up and make it about them so much, especially in our field of being sober. They want to relapse it over it. It's what help did that give anybody? You know what I mean? It don't bring no help to the individual's family, like you're saying. You know what I mean? So don't make it about you. That's what a guy told me.
Yeah.
So when my sister died, he said, don't make it about you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
When's your sister die?
Almost 3 years ago.
Yeah. And you're sober, stayed sober, right? That's the deal, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
yeah. That's the blessing. And they had a different way of saying it sometimes at some of them old school 12-step meetings, where it's just dude would share and be my mom's sick. He's like, yeah, your mom's sick. You're not. Go help her. It's a different way of saying it, but I try to say that in a little bit different manner. Yeah. It's just, I get it. That's how they were brought up, and that's all they know. And some of them are, were really good at doing that and are really good at just kind of being the angry grizzly bear. It's just not my style.
There's a couple things that I think of when I think, for one, I tell people that you're a hero. I don't know if you know, you don't know that, but I do, because you are. And a real hero don't call himself a hero.
Yeah,
Like,
I
you know
don't.
what I'm saying? No, but so I do say that to people, you know, and anybody in your field, though, I say that about, because, dude, it's like a guy going in the war, like, that's a hero, you know. So that's one thing. Another funny story is when I almost hit your captain when I, you know, remember when I was down in the Navy
Nah,
Yard?
nah, I don't
Down
even
in the Navy
remember.
Yard, I was working down there in the Union, and we were singing through the workshops. I almost smoked your captain. You were like, "Yo, dude, you almost hit my captain." I'm like, "Ah, my bad."
No, I'm so shot out. I
Yeah,
don't
and you were
remember a
laughing
lot.
at me like, "Dude, what the hell is he doing, man?"
No, but
Yeah,
I appreciate the kind words, appreciate the support, but I don't look at it as
no,
like being a hero. I think I've worked with a lot of heroes. There's a lot of dudes that are way better at this craft than I'll ever be.
no.
You know, I was just a kid from the neighborhood that, you know, kind of fell into it because one of my buddies said, "Let's go take the test," because
Yeah.
his grandfather was a fireman, and he's not a fireman. He's doing his own thing. He's got his own little business, carpentry. Been in the union forever, and I just kind of fell in love with this.
Hmm.
And it's cool to be a part of,
Yeah.
right? And you know, so even like a lot of times, what do you want to get into? We can get into the backstory.
Well, I
Or,
mean, yeah, I mean, you said that you grew up in Fishtown.
yeah,
You know what I mean? But, you know, I kind of want like for the people, you know, like, what age did you start? Like, how did you do in school, though? Were you like
yeah. So dude, I was a nerdy kid, dude. Like at the end of the day, like I pretended to be something I was not. I was always like a chameleon for a lot, but I had a lot of different friends, and I was pretty decent at sports. You know, and I was funny. Like my whole family's fun. Like they're just comical. It was always like ball breaking and you know, that's the funny thing about the fire department. Like they think they break balls. I'm like, dude, I grew up with dudes that broke balls. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, you're like,
I'll
all
be
right,
on like
dude.
a group thread with my dudes who I grew up with, and like one dude was like talking shit about my buddy's fantasy hockey team, and he's like, yeah, well, you grew up without a dad. I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah,
like,
that's
yeah,
terrible.
dude. So like, that's not the same.
That's
You know?
not that's
But
not breaking
like,
balls. That's like,
but it's the
wow.
same shit. But like that, no one took it like any other way. But like, dude, we just like who needs enemies when we got friends like this, right? We just talk shit. Like so, that's all it ever was, you know.
He
And
said you grew up without a
so,
dad.
but I grew up in a household that broke balls and talked shit and had fun and like didn't really like. It wasn't vicious. It wasn't mean spirited or anything like that. And you know. So I got the good grades and I did well in school. I was never a behavior kid, but like my buddies were drinking in 6th grade and I wasn't doing that. And like I looked at myself as a late bloomer and I was drinking in 8th grade,
Okay.
right? And I was the last one to start drinking and the first one to throw up, right? The first one to get caught. And that's the thing. You look at 8th graders and 6th graders today and do like we were babies.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to do now today is like I don't normalize underage drinking. And I don't care how cool that like I ain't looking for your credit or your grace or your like acceptance. Like it's abnormal.
Yeah.
Like we're in this neighborhood and South Philly's the same as Fishtown.
Yeah.
Port Richmond's the same as Wissinomie. It's all the same shit. It's just like we're scratching our heads wondering why we peak athletically. Well, we're drinking at 12 years old on a regular basis from like Friday and Saturday nights and like you wonder why?
Yeah.
Well, because you're overweight by the time you're 19.
Hmm.
Right? Like that was my story. Like I played everything. I was into basketball, I was into hockey, roller hockey. I did baseball. I was total trash. Like I was a required 2 innings kid in baseball.
So do you think though that like nowadays that like the athletic part of life for kids is getting messed up right now?
Well, we can get into that too.
I mean, I'm just because you bring it up. I mean, yeah, like there is though.
It's a money grab.
There's kids sitting around. There's kids playing video games nonstop.
Yeah.
There's kids that are, you know, always on their phone. You know, obviously we're doing a YouTube thing, but they're on social media. You know what I mean? They'll sit next to each other. They'll text. They're socially and awkward. They don't want to like play outside no more. They don't
even know how to really engage in the art of conversation.
Yeah.
Right? Like even like they don't even know how to tell time. Yeah. Like we had to reconvene at a practice before, and I said, "Yo, we'll be back at." They said we're gonna be back at 1:45, and the kids were like, "What time's that?" I'm like, "Are you messing with me?" Yeah. And they're like, "No." And their mom's like, "Oh no, they don't learn to tell time anymore because everyone has a cell phone." I'm like, what? And then you're getting into like not teaching cursive and all this other kind of stuff. You're like, what's going on?
They're saying numbers.
Yeah, it's just goofy,
dude.
Yeah, it gets
cursive.
It's weird, but the whole sports aspect is like I want my kids, they're young. I want them to play everything. You know what I mean? I want them involved. I don't want one sport to become their identity. They can make that decision when it gets time. I think as you're approaching high school or whatever. But there's, again,
they got to figure out what sport they like.
Well, I guess like here's the deal.
You might not like three sports and like the last.
That's what's it's nuts. But I've been telling my nieces and nephews since they were kids. I got 5 rules for you, right? Have fun, be a good teammate, try your hardest, listen to your coach, and when they get a little bit older, don't say shit to the ref. Like that's it. Just stop. Then there's a reason because like you look at these like 6-year-olds, they're flailing their arms at the ref. Like, dude, like, dude, you're sick. Knock it off. Like, why don't you sit down?
Yeah, it's more about respect.
But it's just like you look goofy. You know what I mean? Like, and I get it, and I know sports, and I'm just as guilty as anybody else of like having a short, try to practice the 12 step, all that kind of. Go play sports. I mean, it's out the window. Go coach sports. I understand, but it's like we have to like. I think it's more important is like who you are as a man, who you are as an individual versus like accolades and individual efforts and all that kind of shit.
Well, I don't think. I mean, we're going into this a little bit, which is good, I think. But I don't think every kid should get a trophy. I think kids should strive to, be better to earn that trophy. I think that sports, and I'm not a big sports player. Like I didn't play sports, and I think it could have took me different. I landed up here. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I think that it shows discipline. It shows kids how not to give up and quit on themselves.
Sure.
Well, that's like
it's something like you honor this commitment you signed up for. Yeah. I remember like trying to play Sega, right? Sega, that's the last games thing I ever had. I never played anything else. And like wanted to skip practice. And my mom's like, all right, you can skip practice. Here's the phone. Here's the landline. Call coach. Tell him you're not coming. I'm like, all right, I guess we're going to practice.
Be responsible.
Well, because you signed up for this, man. Like, go be a part of it then. Right? Like, and listen, I was god awful at baseball. I was the required 2 innings kid. I don't think some of my teammates wanted me to show up. But I showed up anyway. It was like I required 2 innings and all because all my buddies played. So it to retire at like 9 in baseball was probably the best move I had.
It's like at the end of the season, just don't go back, but you'll finish out the
season. You got to finish it, dude. Rock it out. Like you might not like, but how do you know? It's like everything that I can revert like back to today, sports, growing up. It's just like in the back of that book, man. Right, like the one thing that keeps a man in everlasting ignorance is contempt, pride, and investigation. Like that's stupid. Well, why? Did you ever try it?
Yeah, try it.
Right, like we did it. Right, we did it with kids in the play, playing piano, speaking a second language, wrestling, all that. That's stupid. That's stupid. Like and it's just like, well, why? Did you ever? No. Well, how do you know what it is? You don't even know. Right, like the same way, like this thing does work. What we're a part of, and a lot of people, that shit don't work. Well, why? Did you ever try it? Like all of it?
Scared of failure. Well, there's a difference between being a failure and failing at stuff too. You know what I mean? I tell people that all the time. Like if you try and you fail, at least you tried.
Give it a shot.
Yeah, but
give it a shot,
if
dude.
You just sit there and
it's a lesson learned, right? And that's the thing. Like it's like, did you ever do this before? No. Well, you're not supposed to be good at it, man. Yeah. Like you'll get good at it if you want to, and if not, you'll find something else. Yeah. But we quit too easy. Yeah. And like as far as giving kids the trophy, like I don't mind to a certain age. That's cool, dude. Like let them be a part. Yeah, cool. Why not? Yeah. Why not? But it's certain like we got to cut it off.
Yeah, at some age.
What's the age?
When it gets competitive a little bit.
Yeah, it's okay. Because that's life, right? Life's tough, man. Life punches you in the face, and like they'll find out sooner or later. And like maybe these little life lessons of not winning everything, and it's a good place to start.
Yeah, right. I lost. Try harder.
Because like here's where we're at. Like God forbid you tell people the truth. Yeah. You're looked at like you're nuts. And like
my son went to States, right?
For what sport?
Football for Newman. Mm-hmm. And they lost. They went to Hershey, I think it was.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's awesome.
And 4 kids went to D1 colleges, this, that. He could have went whatever, but he decided not to. He works for Brinks and shit like that. But he lost, and he was like, dude, I ain't playing. I said, dude, at least you got there.
Yeah.
Look at all the teams before that didn't make it that year. Like, you know what I mean? You made it. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes losing makes people try harder. And what it was, though, is them kids that went, the team got sucked the next year because people went to college. So he was the kid that like, now you're going to hold your team together. He wound up being a captain, and you know what I'm saying though. Yeah. But it was like all a learning process to him. He was like, damn, and he chose his route, whatever. But that's his life, And I told him that too. Like whatever you choose to do in life,
dude,
you're.
I went to Rome. When I went to Rome, and we made it to the championship when I was coaching. We made it to the championship 6 years in a row. We won once.
Really?
Right? How dirty it is. There was like a couple overtime losses, shootout losses, all this kind of stuff. The one was they lost in shootouts, 0-0, didn't let up a goal. They didn't let up a goal. So they didn't let up a goal, lost in shootouts. Like it was heartbreaking, right? They go to the city championship, they play the public school, they win 5-0. So they didn't let up a goal. Mm-hmm. We go to the first round of the states, 0-0, didn't let up a goal, and they lost in shootouts. They went 1-2 in 3 games and didn't let up a goal. And I'm like, how dirty the sport could be, right? Check this out. The team that beat them in the States in the first round was the team that actually wound up going on and winning the state tournament and got disqualified for having illegal players. I'm like,
said I got shit
like dirty, dude. It's just people are like, what are you going to do? I'm like, nothing. I don't know. But like, it's just a story now.
In the middle, I got like ADD.
Yeah.
In the middle of, you know what I thought of?
Like, where's this going?
No. Your podcast is called Anything But Sports. We've been talking about
that's what I'm down with. I'm down with
childhood development.
I'm down with that.
A part of sports, I believe.
But that's the thing. Anything but sports is like there's stories behind that. You're right. There's life lessons, and I believe the most life lessons that are being learned are in the high school fields, right, or on the college fields. Maybe now that money's evolved, who knows? But even as a kid. Like, I'll call out of work to go coach the 5-year-olds. Yeah. They don't care. They don't, and that's the thing. You really don't even need referees. You want to know why? Most of them don't have a mean bone in their body until you start introducing hormones. Then it's like, you might want to get a ref for these kids. They're ready to go. You know what I mean? Like, you can tell the difference, like, when that shit happens. But no, that's the thing about, like, and that's what I said, like, sports broke my heart. Whatever went on in 2020 and all that kind of shit, and it's just like, what's going on? Right? I mean, like, because I'm friends with a dude, Charlie Strange in the Michael Strange Foundation. His kid was killed, Michael Strange, in active duty. Okay. And like, I know, like, his body was flown home on that flag and all that shit that was going on. And that's what I believe is all done on purpose. I think a lot of this shit's done on purpose to emotionally manipulate your feelings and emotions, so you're not able to have any kind of level-headed conversations, right? And like, and you're just screaming. Now you're just screaming. So I would always listen to people like, what's going on with the kneeling? And police brutality, and it was, because, equal right, all this kind of shit. Like, okay, we just had, a black president in 2008 for the last 8 years, but okay, I'll listen. That's fine. And he wanted to do that during that time because he wanted to be heard. Mm-hmm. I said, okay, I'm listening. And I said, here's the deal. Like, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, right? Like, I don't even claim that a little bit. But I'm like, if you wanted to be heard, how come, when the 49ers played the Green Bay Packers and they were driving and maybe they're down by 2, and they have this, end of the game touchdown kind of scenario going on with a field goal, and they make it to the 25-yard line with no timeouts left, and there's only 10 seconds on the clock. Instead of lining up and going to spike the ball, right, for the winning field goal, why don't you take a knee? Take a knee then. Yeah. I said, the nation wouldn't be divided. The nation wouldn't be divided, and you'll be heard, right? No, what happened? Your team lost a football game?
Oh, to go like wildfire.
But listen, I believe everything that they do is by design, man. Yeah. And I believe that, like, where the strength lies is with unity with each other.
Now, when you say they, that you mean?
They it's like whoever's getting all wound up over both sides.
They're trying to manipulate
absolutely.
the average public.
I'm talking about they as in the media.
The average public.
The media.
They're trying to manipulate.
And then again.
I just wanted you to elaborate.
And really, you want to know where it all started was, and again, I addressed it in the initial little 20-minute thing that I talked about, was that, when I put the Anything But Sports thing out there, like, there was an accident that happened on a 6-lane highway, and I talked, like, I'll go into the whole story, which I don't talk a lot about.
At that time, though, what was going on?
The news, and
in that time, like, what was going on at that moment?
2020,
everybody was
2020, the height of COVID, right? Mm-hmm. So this is what happened. Is me and my wife were sent up to a specialist, right? And we're specialists in, and we suffered together losses before Angelina and after, and it was tough. And it was hard. And imagine what they go through, right? Yeah. And my wife and I've asked permission before to actually even speak about this. I don't, do it often or say, but here's the whole story. And this is where I believe God comes in, right? Like, God put me in a place where He needed me that day. That's it. Like, I don't think I did anything special. We go up to the specialist, me and Angelina wait in the car. My wife, who's a social butterfly, and, the reason I'm here today, in all honesty, because I would have folded the hand a long time ago. I was with her for 9 years, in active addiction. And, the unconditional love she showed me and the grace she showed me during a period of time, I didn't deserve it, right? Like, I used to have family members try to convince her to leave me. So we're up there, and she comes out. She talked to the receptionist for 10 minutes, right? And we get in the car, and now we're driving home. And we're going down Easton Road in Warrington. And we pull up to this accident. She's driving. I'm in the passenger seat. Because really, even the backtrack, I was supposed to go in and talk to that doctor too. And the doctor was so pissed that we were in there. He's like, all your numbers look great. I'm not sure why you're here. And we're like, all right. And she's like, you want to go in and talk to him? I'm like, no, let's get the hell out of here. So down to the second, we pull up to this red light. And across the way, there's a car on fire. A minivan caught fire. And my wife's like, get over there. And I'm like, I'm like, you feel kind of corny. Like, you're not sure. Like, it's kind of weird, but like, I'm in. Like, you know what I mean? I always kind of stop if I see accidents. I just do. I just want to make sure people are all right. And I'm in my ball shorts, sandals, and a t-shirt. And as I'm crossing this highway, like there's an Enterprise to the left. There's a car wash to the other side. And this lady's going, my baby's in the car. And I'm like, holy shit. So like the spidey senses kick in, you know, and her and this other bystander are running around the back of the car. They don't even know I'm on scene. I'm checking doors, running around the other side. The fire's contained to the engine compartment. The passenger's open. And, you know, I checked the back real quick. That was locked. All the child locks kicked in. 2 of the other kids already were dumped out of the car. Little Georgie needed stitches in his chin because I kept in touch with the family. Yeah. So as I jump in there, they made it sound a lot cooler than it was, right? Like, I know, like, I'm trained. I know what to do. I wasn't taking on high heat, high smoke. You know, the steering column was intact. There's no magnesium. But I look in the back, and there's this little girl, little Gemma, little black girl, 1 year old, looking at me like what's going on? Yeah. And I scoop her. As I grab her, they're smashing windows. Now they're smashing windows, and I'm like, I got her. So I just cradle her in my arms, and I get her out to the side of the road, and now I put her over there with her grandmother, who was the one in the passenger with busted up ribs on the side, and we're high-fiving, we're hugging. It's super emotional, dude. It's cool because like a mom thought she was going to lose her kid that day, right? Yeah. Like it was nuts. Like I don't believe what I did was special. I honestly don't. And then these 2 other white kids come out from the car wash, and they have fire extinguishers, and they're I'm like, yeah, give me, man. I got it, dude. I start knocking it down, and that's what my wife sees me, right? So I'm knocking it down, and like 2 extinguishers later, it goes out, and stayed on scene with her. We exchanged information, all this kind of stuff, and we leave. My wife was on the side of the road, and the first bystander rolled out. When he leaves, he sees my wife and my daughter in distress, and he's like, you guys okay? Like, were you involved in the accident? And my wife's like, no, that's my husband over there. And he's like, oh, no shit. And he's like, oh, do you know the McGuires? And my wife, I have no idea. I don't know who that is, whatever. So I get in the car, and I'm like to my wife, did you see that shit? We scooped the baby. You know, like everybody did their part. We're like high-five. And she's like, no, you idiot. I seen you with the extinguisher. I thought you were going to blow up because I was like in the car. So we're laughing. And then before I get home, like, you know, John McGuire, she's like, she said, do you know the McGuires? And I said, yeah. Well, Johnny's the chief at my station. And before I get home, he's calling me. And like any good fireman story, I'm going, oh, there was fire to the right of me, fire to the left. Yeah, and we're laughing, and he tells my captain, and my captain gets wind of it. So it all happened accidentally. And he's the one that put me in for some awards, which I won. And it was really neat. But like, take me out of this, right? Take me out of the awards, dude. And this is the deal. Like on a 6-lane highway that day in Easton and Warrington, there was a black family in need. 4 white dudes stopped to help, right? And it's like, and that's what, like, after I started getting interviewed by a couple different news stations, magazine, newspaper, all that shit, I said, you want to know the day that it happened? And they're like, when? And I'm like, the day after the news of George Floyd was announced. I said, there was 4 white dudes that's up because no one cared. Yeah. That's who we are at the core of all this shit, right? Like that, what I did wasn't special. That's what like the 99% of everyday Americans would do. Yeah. There was a kid I didn't ask like, oh, who'd you vote for? Yeah. Are you vaccinated? You got your mask on, all that shit. It was just like, go act, man, go help. Yeah. Right. And like the reason I bring that up is because after that, like I didn't get interviewed for any of that shit after like for a month or 2. And the world was getting hateful, man. Yeah. It was hateful. And it broke my heart. And then the sports are going on, all this, and like my shoes were tied too tight. Where I'm like, what is that? Yeah. Like we're being manipulated, man. Yeah. All these little sidebars going on, these side conversations where I'm like, this is nonsense, man. I don't know how you guys don't see beyond this. And I never really seen beyond it either until then. I ran into a liberal-looking couple, if you will, you know, Danielle and Ravi down the shore, and I'm like, I ain't bringing shit up. They're awesome human beings. I love, because I don't care who you are. Right? You're good to me. I'm good to you. Right? And I didn't bring anything up, but they're the ones that are like, oh, did you ever check this out or look at this? And like pretty much documentaries. All that. And when I looked at it, it's like, dude, this is some of the weirdest, wildest shit that I ever looked at. But it's the only shit that make any goddamn sense. Like they have us pitted against each other forever now. Yeah. To constantly like manipulate our feelings and emotions to make sure we stay at ends and make sure we don't talk and make sure. And that's the thing that like I'm like, and listen, people thought I was losing my goddamn mind. I'm telling you, like I even had like my sponsor check in on me because my wife dined me out. Like, yo, you gotta check on this dude. And I said, listen, and that's the thing. Even getting clowned by my buddies who I grew up with, I said, if I've been like this straight laced dude for the last couple of years, and like saying some off the wall shit like that, right? Like if I stop like showering and taking care of my family and going to, I'm like, be concerned.
Yeah.
But I'm not, dude. So instead of doing it, why don't you go check it out? Why don't you investigate? Why don't you just look at a video I send you? And that's the thing. Like a lot of people that think differently than me, I'll have conversations with you. I'm cool with that. But I'm like, send me some stuff. I'll look at it, and then no. And then I'm like, I'll send them stuff. And they're like, no. I'm like, well, you don't want a conversation. You want me to feel and think how you do based off of feelings and emotions. And I'm not your guy.
People try to bend you and make you think the way they
think. No, not when you've been treating people fair your whole life, Rob. Like, I don't care who you are, where you're from. Like, you're a good guy. You're a good guy. Yeah. And it just kind of, I had to walk away and stop looking at a lot of that shit because you walk around like your shoes were tied too tight. I'm like, dude, we've been getting lied to forever.
I mean, I sat in the rain that day when you were on the phone with me. I listened to everything you were saying because I listen to a lot of this shit. I mean, I think a lot of the same ways. I think that with gas and milk at $8, like a lot of things. I could go through a million things of what I think of, and I go on live sometimes and I'll talk about it. And I know though when I'm doing it, people are like, "This is stupid." Like, you know why though? Because like you said. They just don't want to fucking think, dude. They don't want to use their head. They want you to just think this simple.
I think it disrupts reality, right? I think it disrupts your reality. You have to look at that kind of stuff. I'd rather watch a 3 hours Phillies game. Okay, go ahead. Like, I'm not. Like I said, like I'm just not that guy no more. Because at the end of the day, and that's like when Jason Kelsey retired, he gave like this hour-long speech, whatever. And grown men were crying, and I'm like, he hiked the ball between his legs, dude.
Yeah.
Like Jack O'Neal did 3 tours in Vietnam,
yeah.
right? Like I know way cooler dudes. And that's it. I don't think he's not a good guy. I think he was great for the sport, but he was a mute in 2020. Yeah. He wasn't doing nothing. He wasn't saying nothing. Even all these sports, nobody spoke up. Yeah. And I get it. You get handcuffed too, right? People are scared to speak up. And the reason why I want to take things public is because like I have these conversations one-on-one all the time. And honestly, like I even felt it. Like you feel like you're losing your mind. Like I'm the crazy one.
Do you feel like people are scared to speak their mind?
Yeah, I think
publicly, like
I think that
like it's okay for me to talk to you about it, but like when it gets, it's like, oh well, nah, because people might think away about me.
And that's,
you understand what
that's the blessing of being sober. And again, like what we represent today, we talked about it earlier. I don't represent you. You don't represent me. I'm not representing my employer. Yeah. Like I only have one dude who I answer to. Right, like that's God. Yeah. At the end of the day, and like even talking about that like that's corny. Like why?
Yeah, no.
Like why? Yeah. But you know what I mean? But you're used to it. I'm used to it. But that's what we're just not ingrained in that. And that's not how we were brought up.
Well, even still to today, I mean, quick for the people too. Quick, like you tried to sponsor me and I wasn't ready to do any work. I wasn't ready. I was feared up. I was scared. He came to my house and, we kneeled down to do a step or whatever, I'll say. And
the third step, yeah.
Yeah, third step. And I got down. I had a cat back then. He was allergic. I started making jokes. He turned around, looked at me, and said, "It's all right if you're scared. People say dumb shit when they're scared. Made me feel like this big, but in a good way. But you knew me, but then you didn't know me like that. But basically, somebody told you, "Yo, can you help this kid?" And you were willing to do whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's the thing is like the blessing of going through a process like this, and it's not easy, man. Like I was out of ideas and options. Yeah. Right, like, and that's the power of alcoholism. I remember being back at that rehab for the last time. Down in Florida, and I just left there 4 months ago, right? And I remember being like, knot in my throat, couldn't talk, and this tech came in, Johnny, and he's like, "What's the matter with you?" I've been there for 2 weeks again this time, and he said, "You're not the same kid." And I said, "Dude, I can't believe I'm back." Like I really wholeheartedly admitted I was an alcoholic the last time I was there, and I tried heroin for the first time 4 months sober. Right? I grew up in the OxyContin, the Percocet epidemic, and sold my soul doing all that kind of shit, just like. Handcuffed, whatever. And 4 months sober. I was at a meeting the night before. That happened. 2-month run with that. And was baffled. I couldn't believe it. Scratching my head, like, what happened? And, when I went back and that dude said that to me, he's like, I was like, I was doing everything I was supposed to be doing. And he's like, have you ever tried the 12 steps? And like, I'm not a dumb kid. I'm not the smartest, but like, that should be a pretty obvious answer in a 12-step fellowship. And it just wasn't, dude. Like I was so blocked off that I start crying. And I'm like, no. But it was like a relief where I'm like, well, maybe. And then I got with the right people, the right counselor, the right sponsor, all this kind of stuff. And I always had the right sponsor. Yeah. It was just, I didn't work. Like we talked about, right? Like anything ever happens, like, no, this thing works fine. It's the individual.
Yeah.
And you know,
I didn't want to work it.
got with the right people. And the guy, the counselor even we looked at stuff, and he said, like, you know, let's look at the steps. What happened? And like, I was a big 1, 2, 3 step guy. I love that. You know what I mean? And for everybody out there, it's like, yo, let's get right with the drink, the drug, whatever it is, right? 2 and 3, get right with a higher power. You know, get right with a God of your understanding, and a God that I don't understand at times, right? And then it gets into 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now Sean has to get to know Sean, and it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And that's what I would say. I'm like, the 4th and 5th step scared the shit out of me. And the guy said, I didn't tell you to like it. I just told you to do it. And I'm like, I guess I don't have any other options because I don't want to live like this no more. And it's a jumping off place, man. And that's why, like, that same stuff that like handcuffed me that I was scared to talk about is the same stuff that I talk about every time I work with another individual, because it's like, you know, again, I've seen it on Facebook, right? Like, it's funny, some of these memes, but it's like, that's like trying to rob a house I don't live in.
Yeah.
Now, you can bring up whatever you want to bring up, right? But like this stuff doesn't hold weight in my world anymore. And the power of going through a 4th and a 5th step is like, you know, I'm not here to absolve you of your sins. Is what happens is like that 100-pound sack that weighs me down and lets me know I'm a piece of shit and it's my past and all this kind of stuff. It becomes a 5-pound sack, and now it's manageable.
Yeah.
And that's what people always say, like, well, how come you don't get rid of it? I'm like, because it's my reminder. Like, that's my past. And like, when I think a drink's a good idea, like, I'm the dude that'll swindle his mom out of $2,000 out of her retirement fund. I'm the dude that'll step over his newborn nephew right when he's coming home from the hospital because like I got to go. You know, all that kind of stuff.
Me personally, when I was scared to even try to, you know, like, it was like the fear of even doing the unknown, but I knew nothing else was left after a while. Like, even after that experience with you, like, it was like, dude, I got to do it. I got to do it because it's the only thing I didn't try.
Only thing you're missing.
And then once I did it, though, I realized what attacked me, and it was me.
Yeah.
It was me.
Yeah.
I mean, my head just tells me to, like, why I'm mad at the whole world. I think everybody's against. It's bullshit. My head plays tricks.
That's what happens, and that's what you do when you go through this process. You realize, like, you want to know the only dudes that ever really stay sick and stay suffering from this thing, the dudes that never take responsibility for where they're at. Yeah. It's always the wife. It's always the husband. It's always, you know, it doesn't matter. It's always somebody else, the employer. If you have, and it's just like, dude, like, even people, places, and things, right? It's like, well, you're the common denominator in every one of those things. You change. Because I got high and drank everywhere with everybody at any time. Right? Like, it didn't matter. Like, I couldn't go anywhere without like having a reminder.
I say all the time, I need to know who, like, at the time, I needed to know who I was so I could figure out who I'm trying to become. You know what I mean? Because if I just don't admit what I am at that moment, then I'm just going to keep bullshitting myself and keep living, you know, telling myself I'm okay this way. It's like you said, it's this person, it's the employer, it's not me, it can't be me, you know. And I had to know that, like, I was a thief, I was a liar, I was a manipulator, I was a cheat. I had to know that, so I knew what to stop doing, so I could become a better person for other people too. Yeah. That's the greatest thing about recovery too. It's like what we do. It's really to be a better person towards other people too, which can be hard at times.
And play the role. Play that role, dude. Right? Like, that's the blessing of it all. Like, I always wanted to get time. And I was, even down at the one group, right, in South Philly, it was like you had to wait a year to share the second part of the meeting. I had to wait 8 years to share the second part of that meeting.
I was so mad about that.
Right? Like, I couldn't do it. Right? 90 days to answer the phone and all. So, like, and that's the thing, is just like, it took what it took, I guess, to get where I had to go, man. And a lot of pain involved. But there was a lot of pain involved for me and everybody around me. Man. Right? Because, like, that's what I always say, like, I can't touch you and give you alcoholism. I can't touch you and give you drug, because it doesn't work like that. It's not contagious that way. But you know how many people I made sick? Yeah. You know, and that's the thing. It's just like the biggest lie we tell ourselves, like, I'm only hurt myself. Like, dude, come on. Yeah, no. Like, it's such a lie. They just let us, especially when you introduce kids to the mix and everything else, man. Like, there's a lot more people that get affected by our decisions than we care to admit.
Well, I was one of them dudes, like, if everybody just let me do what I'm doing, you know, I ain't bothering nobody. Like, dude, I'm bothering everybody. Like, there ain't nobody that I'm not bothering. You know, like, I was a sight for sore eyes. Like, I was just like, bad, dude. Like, I honestly, like, I used it, you know, so yeah. Wait, so how many times did you go to rehab?
So I bounced in and out from 2005 to 2011. Buddy Murphy took me to my first meeting down in St. Bernard's, and you know, got overwhelmed. People are giving your numbers, and you're just like, what's going on? And really, at the end of the day, I always talk about, like, I would pick and choose what I felt comfortable doing. You know what I mean? I'll make coffee. I'll shake your hand. I'll take a commitment. I'll share my story. And it's like, well, let's sit down and do some step work. It's like, I'll make more coffee.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm good with that. And you don't realize that you're doing that until you get sober and stay sober. You know, I didn't realize that until I got sober this time. So I think there was like undercover missions and all that kind of stuff. And but you know, two things would work to where I went away, stayed away, full term, all that kind of stuff. And that's the thing. When I went away that first time around Thanksgiving, like I had this overwhelming, like a white-like experience, and I wouldn't be able to put words to it. I wouldn't be able to justify it. And you know, got high 4 months later, and you know, went away, came out, went down the shore to meet down there, and this dude was sharing about the white-like experience before he had, and his thing was like it was God telling him to hit the brakes on a highway, and when he did, there was all these deer that were crossing. And I kind of knew what he was talking about, right? And like that white light. And you couldn't I'm telling you, you can't justify it with words. And I haven't had one since. And like I had this overwhelming sensation, overwhelming feeling like everything was going to be okay, right? And that's something that just always reminded me of Buddy Murphy. Everything was going to be okay. And the thing that dude shared about was something that I missed out the whole time. He's like, that was God's way of letting me know how I could feel with a little bit of work. And the work's the stuff I avoided for a long time. I had to have word vomit with those counselors at that rehab in order to free my hand up to start writing, because I was scared to put a pen to paper with it. That's how feared up it. Like fear is powerful, man.
Now, was the feeling like? Did you start to feel like you were getting better right away?
No, I hated it. It was uncomfortable. Doing a fifth step with a sponsor when you leave there and all that kind of stuff. You know, having many fifth steps with counselors, it sucked, man. It was uncomfortable. But like, I remember thinking, like, dude, I don't really hate myself that much anymore. Right, like 2 months later, and like, you know, when I did that stuff, my palms were sweaty. It was disgusting. I was like, dude, this sucks. But I just kind of knew like it was necessary, and it was in order for me to stay sober a day at a time. It became necessary quickly. Everybody's story is different, and I don't tell anybody they got to. I don't tell anybody they can't.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? People get involved right away. Like, and you hear all success stories and horror stories. It's like, I don't know. Like, but like when people want to sit, I'm responsible to be there. Like, you show me effort, I got you all day. And that's it. Until I had kids, right? Like, I probably did a lot more for other people's sobriety than they did for themselves. It's just because I loved it. Like you talked about it, right? Like getting time special, and it's great. But you want to know what's more special than that? Like watching a dude come in who's beaten and broken and gray and can't look up, right? And 6 months later, it's like a whole new dude. Whether you sponsor him or not, it's like that to me is witnessing the works of God, the works of God through His people. Right, like that's the special part about all that kind of stuff, and it's just like, man, I've seen it time and time again. Like I can't say that like this thing doesn't work.
No, yeah, I agree. I think well, I'm sober. You know what I mean? I can't, like I said, like where I'm at today, like everything led me up to this point. But I wish, like I don't suggest it to nobody to wait as long as I did. I waited like 9 months.
Yeah.
I was out of my mind. I was like suffering inside so bad that I think if I would have did, like everything's so fresh when you first get sober to go through, you know, the steps, and it's a lot easier to know the pain that you're feeling than remember back to, you know what I'm saying?
When that pain's fresh, yeah. Because that's the thing. Then there's the people that'll shit on dudes like sobriety and be like, you're going it too fast, and then they'll share it over their story, and they don't even reckon they're going to be like, yeah, when I waited, 4 years, when I was going to kill myself to. I'm like, well, why would anybody want to wait? Right? Like you're not picking up what you're saying. Like, why are you dunking on this dude? What he's doing?
I was standing on the bridge, and then I was like, you know what?
Why not? But that's how nuts it is. It's
everybody got their own journey. You know what I mean? Everybody gets to wherever, like they used to say. Remember back at South Fogger, like there's a million ways to get to City Hall, as long as you get there. You know what I mean? And I agree. But I have seen a lot of people go out because, they'll just wait either too long or they run around like there's a process to everything, I guess.
Yeah, I think it almost comes down to like you just weren't ready to do anything at all.
Individual. Yeah. You know what I mean? It depends. There's nobody knows.
Yeah.
God, like you would say, like God.
And a lot of stuff is beyond me. Like I don't have the answers to some things, man. I don't know. But I just know that like I'm cool being on this side of the fence. I know it's a blessing. I know it's a grace. It's something that like really wasn't deserved, man. But
how long have you been sober now?
12 and a half years. June 3rd will be 13.
Yeah. So January 22nd. I got It's like,
it's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You jumped right in and tried to help me right away.
but again, I bounced in and out from 2005 to 2011. I was just done at that period, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing I always tell people is like, I always wanted to give this away. I always wanted to help. I love whatever happened at that meeting, that 12-step meeting I went to. Like, the best way I ever heard it described was a counselor down in Florida called it the phenomenon of identification. Like, I can relate to these people, right? And to be able to play a part. But here's the deal: like, if you don't know how to swim, you can't save somebody else from drowning, right? Like, I never really knew what to do or how to do it. And then the blessing of going through this 12-step process is that, like, I'm a do what I do guy. Like, you ever do? Yeah, I did it. Yeah, it's uncomfortable. Yeah, it was sweaty. Yeah, it sucked. Yeah, I made amends where I had to make amends and financially, make shit right. And that's, you go to meetings still? Yeah, I go to meetings still. Like, I go to meetings on a daily basis, like, to this day, because, like, I need a 12-step program to learn how to live like an adult on a daily basis. Like, I'm nuts with it. I can't imagine getting away from it.
Yeah.
Right?
I still go too. I go. Yeah, I go.
I got about 1 or 2 days a week. And the reason is like, here's the blessing is like, this 12-step program that I'm a part of has afforded me the opportunity to raise a family. Right now, I have a little six-year-old girl, April 10th, and Shawnee will turn 3 June 21st. And them guys that like, my grandkids never seen me drink.
Yeah.
Like because of them, like, my kids never have to see me drink.
Yeah.
Right? They thank God for good teachers. And again, like, I don't think I'm special. I just think, like, I was taught right.
No, well, and life comes in, and it's a blessing to be able to be there for your family and stuff like that, and do what you're doing as a career, and also still going. Like I say all the time, I go to meetings sometimes, to give the message so people know it's possible, and sometimes I just need a meeting so I can keep
Get
my
your head
sanity.
right.
Yeah, because I'm not drunk proof, dude. I'm just if anything, I always like to say, dude, I'm not better than nobody. I'm underneath. I don't want to be better than nobody, and to tell you the truth, I need AA just as much as somebody that comes in with one day.
Yeah, all day.
Because
man.
I've seen myself get absolutely nuts to where I didn't know what up and down was. The only thing that I was holding, and with time, was that I was sober and got like able to go to AA still and still talk to the people in my circle and still, like without that, I think.
Well, that's the crazy part. Like, where do people go that don't have this? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why, like, when shit hits the fan with the dudes that I grew up with, or like I'm okay having these uncomfortable conversations, right? Like, I'm okay with that, man. Like, I'm good. Like, and like, I'll allow people to process whatever they need to process, and like, does it come naturally to me? No. But again, I know that I'm more well in tune to what's going on as far as feelings and emotions than other people because of this. Like, and that's what I think we suffer from, a disease of feelings and emotions, right? My one buddy says it all the time, and it's like the way my sponsor puts it, it's a soul sickness.
I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Like, so obviously, Kensington, you're from Fishtown.
Yeah.
I'm from Kensington. What do you think? What do you think about that? Like, what's your thought process? Because I was on a couple of shows talking about. I'm from down there, and the greatest thing that I love about being from Kensington is that I got out of there. Yeah. And that's, and if it was nice right now, like say it was like Fishtown, like, even still though, I made it out of there when it was at its worst. You know what I mean? It don't matter. But right now, I think it's an abomination, dude. What's going on down there?
Down Kensington Ave, and then even Forest and Fishtown, it's all like different. Like, the implants are coming in, all like, dude, give me back the old neighborhood any day of the week. Yeah. There's some of the best people that I still stay in touch with to this day. I love them. I miss them. It's not the same neighborhood, and that's not to say it's better or worse. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, I miss the old neighbors though. I can tell you that. Kensington Ave in itself is like, it's not a cat and mouse game. It's the mice are on the corner shooting dope in their neck. Yeah. Like, it's not. Yeah. It's like, right? It's the same thing. Even that was always one of my analogies during the height of COVID and shit like that. I said, you want to know how fear and conformity work? There's motherfuckers on Kensington Ave shooting dope in their neck with a mask on their face. Yeah. I'm like, make that make sense to me. Make that make sense. And then they come in and try to give you a hug, and it's like, dude, oh, don't worry, I'm vaccinated. I was like, I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about that gangrene on your arm. You know what I mean? Like, you got to address that, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're not worried about any of that kind of stuff. Like,
we'll beat COVID.
But that's how.
We'll beat COVID. I don't know if I'll beat that.
Like, COVID doesn't crack the top 10 of what you're putting in your body, dude.
Even like that, though. Like, even like you just saying that, right? Like, this is what I mean about, like, people afraid to say, like if you say certain stuff, people are like, hey, man, well, they're sick, and they, like, put their arms infected. Yeah. Like, it's not
Doesn't
normal.
mean I don't love them. Doesn't mean I ain't going to help them. I don't care about any of that.
I mean, it's not normal for somebody to walk, and as they walk, their legs are swollen, pus coming. Like, that's not normal. It's not normal.
Dying would be a vacation for that person. And I don't wish death on them. But I know what it's like. I was at that place where I was totally cool with not waking up, man. Yeah. I can only imagine that pain and turmoil and physically being like that every day. Like, it's a handcuff, man. Steals your soul.
I mean,
right? I wasn't that bad, and I was cool. Like, and like that's not fair thinking. And that's what happens is it took me to sober up to realize like, you think anybody in my family would have cared how they had to bury me, whether it was accidental or suicide? Like, dude, it's against the grain of how your like, human
but
life.
your family, right? And say people that you knew from like recovery, whatever. Like I don't think it's okay to make people feel like even let them have the option to feel like that's okay. Like if they're going through, like, yo, bro, this ain't cool.
Don't
You gotta
settle.
get help.
Don't ever settle.
Yeah, you understand what I'm saying? Because I know personally from my family, like everybody, I think you know this though, but and I talk about it a lot because I want, like, it is possible for people to get sober that don't have a family. But my family died. My dad, my brother, my sisters, like but even my mother, like it wasn't okay for the way what she was doing at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't okay because she couldn't get better. Nobody around her was telling her like, yo, this is not normal. Like it was like everybody's just accepting it.
Yeah, it's weird. And, like what's enabling, what's not. What I don't know, man.
Sitting down,
but like,
I think some people accept it because of what's going on. I think they just accept like, well, this is what life is. No, it's not. Yeah. No, it is not. Like you're misled by the misled.
Well, then you're getting into like even talk about methadone maintenance and shit like that. Like what I believe is you gave up on you, your family gave up on you, the system gave up on you. It's like, here, take this, dude. And I'm not saying people that do that aren't trying to do the right thing and make it. I get that. Or you're asking questions like, yo, what's the success rate of getting off of this shit? Right? Like, and I don't know many stories. I've got to be honest, just from being around the room. No, all that's just nasty, right? Yeah. But that's the thing. You gave up on you. And it's like, here, come to this little, 3-block radius. You're going to live the rest of your life and do all this. And it's just like, here's the handcuffs, throw them on yourself. Yeah. Because you're such a pain in the ass. No, and like, dude, like, that's the thing. Like, don't give up on yourself.
They call that discrimination. Like the commissioner for behavioral health and you can't say that. It's the gold standard in the city.
Yeah, you got
for maintenance. Like I mean,
yeah,
really what it is, and this is my thought process, is really what it is we're tired of sending people back and forth to rehab, so we'll call it the gold standard and we'll keep giving everybody maintenance.
Well, follow the money. Yeah. Follow the money. Who's making money off it? I ain't. Yeah.
No, I get it.
I'm not.
No, you're paying
your taxes. Well, I'm not making any money. Like, where's it at? Where's and I'm not discriminating against anybody because I'll help those kind of people. Yeah. But the thing is, when you come in, you're staying on that. Well, how long? Yeah. Right? Like I detoxed in like for 5 days, and I took Suboxone and all that shit, and only 5 days. I'm like, and then it was painful. Yeah. Like I was up for like 3 weeks at that. Like, because here's the deal: like you don't get to live the way we lived and come out of it unscathed. Yeah. There's a price you're going to have to pay. Right? There's a price, dude. And it's painful and it sucks.
I quit turkey for 19 days.
But it's possible. Yeah. It's possible. You're looking at 2 dudes right now. Yeah. It's possible. Like, here's the thing. When people are like I'm not sleeping. And I hate it when people are like, oh, no one ever died from a lack of sleep. Yeah, except the dude I'm about to choke. It's,
or go crazy.
Like, like Jesus Christ. But here's the thing. You get to tell them, like, it gets better. Like, and then they're like, well, when? I'm like, I don't know, man. Everybody's different.
Yeah, it took me 19
I don't know. Like everybody's different, but I know like 2 months. I know that it'll get better. You got to hang in there, dude. You got to hang in, and it's possible. And the thing about recovery in general, it's like there's strength in numbers. Like you're not alone. Like, and that's why to this day, when I go to meetings, I share my 5 minutes. I'm taking it because I earned my seat, and I'm not going home with my head, and I'm talking, and hopefully I can maybe help somebody else out. But I know I leave, I feel better.
Yeah. And stay busy, like say, in the beginning, like definitely stay around people. I think with the
idle time's the devil's playground.
Yeah, devil's workshop. And with the maintenance part, like now, I mean, they did come out with like Sublocade, stuff like that. So like if you're on Suboxone, you go on Sublocade, you could come off without going through detox even.
Yeah.
So they're coming up, but like how long do you stay on it? Like, there's some people I know, like, what I did, like they're on it for like two years.
Yeah.
Now listen, if they're going to relapse again and die.
Yeah, I don't want anyone dying.
Yeah, and they overdose, like, say, 18, 20 times. Like, I get it. I understand why they made the medicine. I get it. And fentanyl is terrible, and so's the trank, and so's the infections, and I get it. But it is also good to tell people, you should try to have a goal. If you feel uncomfortable at this point, you always could do whatever, but have a goal. Have a goal to try to.
Thank God I wanted to be on Suboxone, right? When I got started. And thank God I had do-gooders in my life that let me know, like, no, it's no good. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't an answer. It's another crutch. You're eventually going to have to get off of that. Like, you're going to have to suffer a little bit, dude. Like, that's the name of the game. And it's just like, thank God I had people in my life that weren't scared to tell me the truth.
There was people that, like, came in my, because I try to keep it separate, but it is called the same thing as my housing. But they come in and they were doing like meth or like crack, and they're putting them on Suboxone. It has nothing to do with an opiate.
There's dudes that only drank that were like alcohol, and he's got to go into Suboxone. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you talking about? He's got to go into what are you talking? Why?
Well, it makes no sense.
No, that's I'm like, what's going on? This is getting
to help with, and there's Vivitrol. And naltrexone, like that has no physical aspect to it to where you get sick. So
it's just the strange times, and like I'll always be an advocate for what I know. And like, here's the deal, because I believe in free speech and being able to do that. Like, I have the ability to be wrong as well and learn and apologize it. But like, I've seen the nastiness of that shit that eats away at your bones and handcuffs people. Like, I'm speaking up.
Yeah.
And I'll say it.
Yeah.
Right. And try to get further treatment, whatever it is, to get off of that shit too. Right. It's just as nasty.
So do you think they should have more treatment for that?
I don't know the answer.
I mean, well, this is the thing I do know is that, like, if you have that going on, like with bad infections and all, it's hard to even get people away with that.
Oh, I was just talking about, I was just talking about the methadone, like it gets in your bones and shit. Like I remember watching this kid come around he looked like he was 75 years old. He was 40.
I got you. I thought you were talking about
that. No, that wound care and all that shit that's out there now. Like, God, it's nasty.
Well, methadone does it gets in your, like,
well, they're injecting in the sites and all that kind of stuff. You know, I've had classes on that, and people think it's like this flesh-eating drug, and it's not. What happens is they're developing abscess, and they're shooting into infected wounds, and it's eating away at their skin after a while, and never gets addressed. Or it gets addressed, but they keep doing it.
So it's not the drink that's actually making it get infected.
No, it's the dirtiness of it all. It's the dirtiness and cleanliness of all the needles and all. From what I understand, from what I was, I took a little class.
You have to take that stuff. The class.
Yeah, I try to. I try to stay educated. I try, but at the end of the day, it's like I don't know even all that kind of. Is that helping or hurting? Like they're trying to give some dignity to people that really like. That's the crazy part about all this, right? Is like. Shame is at an all-time high when we no longer have it. Right? Like that dude in the corner, I know what he's doing. You know what he's doing. You got $1 or not, just keep it moving. I don't want the speech. Right? Like it's like, but that's where they're at. They know. I know what they're doing. Yeah. And that's why I used to say, like, oh, but for the grace of God. And then some lady said, like, you're assuming that the grace of God isn't with them. Right? And I'm like, well, I'm just, thank God it's not me. Yeah. Thank God I was able to get sober and had enough pain, like the way I went through it.
That's like one of them damned if you do, damned like.
No matter what,
thank God it ain't me. It's like, oh, you're selfish.
And that's the thing. You argue about everything. Like, how you doing? I'm doing good. I'm hanging in there. Well, why don't you let go and let God? You go in the next time. How you doing? I'm letting go and letting God. Well, hang in there. You're like, what is it? I'm doing whatever I can. And that's the thing, Rob. Like, here's the deal. Like, I look at people where it's just like, yo, man. Like, if you were a kid, would you look up to you? And that's what I tried. Like today, I'm trying.
Compare yourself to yourself.
I'm trying, right? Man. Like, and that's the dude that the Chris Herron dude, and it's a 30 for 30 podcast. Like, again, the sports thing, but there's stories behind the sport where I love, and that's the dude that talks about like what he had with basketball, like, but nothing ever gave him what he has with recovery.
Is that the dude from the Boston?
Yeah. Oh, awesome story. Great stuff.
I never even heard it. You know that? Yeah. Still, that's crazy. I would like to hear it.
There's a 30 for 30 video, and he has a book out. Okay. Stuff like that. Just heard him speak live a couple times.
Marty from. Yeah, they want to
Marty B.
They want to go see him. I forget where at Holy Family. I think.
Yeah, he was up a couple different places. I see. It's just neat, man.
But I heard he has him and the other dude has a crazy story too. Brandon Novak or whatever.
Novak, I met him at an airport. So it seems like he's doing the deal too.
Yeah. I mean,
God bless these people with like a decent amount of money at their exposure and they stay sober. Right, like that's a blessing.
Because that was one of my, you run out of money, you're like, all right.
A lot of people are broke. Yeah. Or a lot of people are scared to die, right? And that's the thing you talked about on one of your previous shows is like the open injection sites and shit like that. And I remember doing a study. I got involved with some study down at the University of Penn. They wanted me to be a method actor, and I'm like, all right, for nursing school, no problem. And I was the only one in the room. There was about 30, 40 people in there, and they're like talking about this is a great idea, these safe injection sites and all this kind of shit. And the one that I said, yeah, where do you live at? I live here. I said, let's open one next to your house. She's like, oh. I said, well, where do you think they go? Yeah. They're next to some Spanish grandmother that can't afford to move out of the neighborhood. Right? That's fair? Yeah. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
And then there's kids like back to Kensington or Northville or wherever. It don't matter where. There's kids that got to go to school. Yeah. There's like, you know what I'm saying? Well, like McPherson Square, that's what Needle Park is called. So people that don't know, like from even anywhere in the country, McPherson Square, because I grew up there, I used to ride down Fire Hill, with a scooter.
Yeah.
Like when I was a little kid, dude, there's a big library there, dude. Like it's been there. Like nobody even talks about the library. It's more about the trash, you know, I don't know, dude. It just pisses me off.
No, but that's
it does. It pisses
But
me
that's
off
what
because
people want to have all these like short, like quick fix
like,
answers, and
put
it's like,
this
well,
right
where do
here.
you think that goes? Where do you think that happens at?
Well,
And like, and then also like I remember my one girlfriend who got sober, right? My buddy, and she's like, I got sober because I was scared to die. Like that kind of takes that aspect away, right?
Well, and let's put it. So we think this area is bad and messed up, and there's no saving it, basically. And this is where everybody is that's using. So let's put it there. Like, what the hell? Yeah. So let's just help it more. Like, let's just drop a nuke on it. Like,
what's the rationale behind that? Like, I don't understand some of it, but I'm like, but I'm outspoken and I'm willing to have conversations, and I don't want you to feel and think how I do.
No,
I just want you to think.
You've seen the podcast before, even. I mean, this is the way I think. Yeah, I think things are crazy. I think that more people need to speak out about certain things. And listen, I ain't always right about it. Like you said, I'm not always right about everything I think. And maybe I might see it another way if I hear, but I'm willing to talk about it and try to figure something out about it. Or if I can help in any way, I will. But, to just accept it for what it is or like throw a Band-Aid on a ball, that is not the answer, dude.
No.
Because people's lives are really at risk at that point. That's when it's bad. That's when before fences are up on the railroad tracks down at Lehigh Ave, you find 70, 80 bodies down there that nobody even talks about because they were letting them live down there and get high and it was okay. And they had Emerald City and there's just massive bodies down there and people are, nobody even talks about that shit, dude.
No, it's again.
Kensington Heights looks nice though.
Yeah, where's that at?
Right next to Emerald and Lehigh where they took all the tents down like they were fixing it up. Yeah, I bet they were. And then they built 3 stories. Hey, look, I'm all for fixing up the neighborhood. I'm all for that, but pushing people around like cattle isn't the answer.
Yeah, and I'm all for people, whoever they are, wherever they're at in their life, to get help, man.
Yeah.
Like that's the name of the game.
Yeah, more help.
It's a great way of life, right? Like we're not coming here talking shit 12 years later and sitting in front of each other and putting ourselves out there because like it's not a life that like I want everybody to have this.
I want people to be attracted to knowing they could do it for themselves to be able to get sober, stay sober, and be a better person for themselves and their families.
It's just a possibility, man. Mm-hmm. Like this thing's for you too. And it's like, here's the deal. At the end of the day, you go to these rehab and they're going to give you the statistics. They're like, look to the left of you, look to the right of you. This one's not going to. And at the end of the day, it's like, dude, if you follow this design for living, this 12-step outline as it is in the book, right? Like there's a 100% chance you'll remain sober a day at a time for the rest of your life. Yeah. Like I go by that, man.
I agree with it.
And you want to talk about how much time we got left?
We're whatever.
Oh, okay.
If you want to,
no, I got because I tell you I can talk for 4 hours with this shit because like again, I don't think I'm more special or anything more special to say, but you start catching fire because it's like one alcoholic relating to another.
Yeah, your head starts coming up with like you start thinking of things that either bother you, got passion in, or you want to get out there to help another person. I'm with it.
Because my wife and my sister run and another guy in the neighborhood. Yeah. So another guy in the neighborhood, Whitey. They run the Pink Elephant. Yeah. Pink Elephant movement. PinkElephant.org.
I was going to say represent, but dude, they're big. They're big. Everybody knows, and at least in the city.
And know how it stemmed? It stemmed from an idea.
You?
No, my sister.
No, I'm only kidding. No, I'm only kidding. Reen, I'm going to say Reen. He said he came up with the name and then stepped away.
No, that's what I said. I said originally I was going to be on, and it was the elephant in the room and then Pink Elephant. Like I came up with Pink Elephant. I'm pretty sure, right? And even someone on the internet was like, "Why is it pink?" I'm like, "Shut up." You know what I mean? It's pink. Ours is pink.
Why does it matter?
Keep it moving, bitch. So it was like, so they say that, and I stepped away because it entailed so much more.
Now,
I didn't have time. I was coaching.
What does the nonprofit stand for? Like, what does it do?
So the elephant in the room is like, addiction in itself and addressing it, right? And people are scared to talk about it. And what it is that people get it confused is like, it's not for the addict. It's not for it's for the families that suffer. Okay. It's for those kids without parents and the grandparents that are raising them or the aunts, the uncles. And like, they provide so many different services during like the holidays. And they send kids away to like Disney and shit like that. Like there's some gnarly stories out there. I don't want to expose too much because I don't know what's out there, what's not, and
like people are supposed.
Some are open about it, some aren't, whatever. But like help with tuition, help whatever. Yeah. Like people have to write letters on their behalf to kind of like get them funding or whatever it is, and they have to like go into a vote and all this kind of stuff. And it's a lot, man. They do a 5K race every year throughout the heart of Kensington.
That's just TAP.
That just happened in October. Yeah, October. They do that. They've been doing that. And what's special is like they line up all the people that have lost their lives because of drugs and alcohol along the fence. And it's a mile long, whatever it is, wraps around. Yeah, Sion playground. And, you know, it's special for the families to get to remember people that they lost. And this year, one of my buddies, the mom and dad were there at the race, and it was their first year. I believed of putting him up on the fence.
Okay.
And I'll just leave his name out there just because I'm not sure if they want it there.
Yeah.
And I said to my wife, I got to get over there. I want to go talk to them. You know, I want to go talk to, you know, Carol and Bob.
Yeah.
And she said, I was like, it's the first year, you know, because we just lost my buddy. And they lost their son. And I went over to them, talking to them. And I said, this is the first year, you know, you putting him up on the fence. And she said, no, he's not up there. And I said, really? I said, you just weren't ready yet? And she's like, no, you know, his sister wasn't ready and the aunt who found him. Yeah. You know, and he died in his backyard on a summer day. And the mom said to me, she's like, I've been ready. I made a lot of peace. She said, that's the first time I see the smile on that boy's face the day that we found him. I was like, you want to talk about the power of drugs and alcohol, right? Like the mom just found her son and seen her son, and that's what she's talking about, man. Yeah. Like that's the power of you know, addiction and what it does to our families and how gnarly it is when we're living that lifestyle and like, you know, you lose yourself long before. Like that's what there's a nun on YouTube, Sister Maurice from the Bronx, that always talk about, you know, even some people wear it with a badge of honor, like I died 9 times and all that shit. It's like, she's like, here's the deal. Like you keep looking at it like the physical aspect of death. And like long before that, you suffer the death of morals and values, feelings and emotions, relationships, self-worth. Like the last thing that goes is the physical aspect of death. There's a reason why everything becomes gray.
Yeah, your soul's already black, basically. Like you're losing.
And that's why, like, dude, dying would be a vacation compared to that lifestyle. I understand that.
Yeah, you're suffering.
It's painful for you and everybody. You don't mean it, but like you can't see a way out. And at the end of the day, like that's not fair thinking, though. But that's the core of all this shit is self-centeredness and selfishness.
Yeah, we're selfish. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and it's just like as long as I'm all right and I don't have to feel like.
Think about suicide. Yeah. I remember being at that with that counselor for the last time, just telling him how much I hated myself. I'm a piece of shit. I'm a loser. If I could kick my own ass, I would. He said, "You know what that is?" I said, "No, Bob. What's that?" And I just worked with him 4 months prior and had a good relationship with him. He's like this old ninja ass, like hippie dude, 60 years old, 70 years old, and flip flops. And he's like, "That's your pride and your ego." I'm like, "How's it my pride and my ego? I can't even look in the mirror. I hate myself." And I was going to go on another spiel about how much I hated myself. And he's like, "So all you're thinking about is you." I'm like, "Damn. Like this shit comes at you in perverse ways." And he said, "You want to know what the ultimate act of self is? Suicide. That's all you wrap your head around is you." Right? And I've had experience with that. You know, I was with an uncle the night before, my Uncle Tom. You know, and my aunt shot herself and lived, and then eventually was successful in killing herself when I had 2 years sober. And you know, buddy, I was with him the night before. You know, and it's painful, right? And that's how I always say to people, like, suicide's a permanent solution to temporary problems, and the pain doesn't end. It just gets passed on to somebody else.
Yeah. And then the family has to deal with it, and they, you know, the loss.
You don't know how many people that you affected in your life that actually give a shit about you and love you. You know, and that's a lot of times, like they'll say it in the meetings, right? Like, dude, like come around here, we'll love you until you can love yourself. All that kind of shit. You're like, shut up.
Yeah. And when you're making it, you know, you either can make a bad impact on everybody around you, or you could change it and make a good impact. Like they say, everybody always talks about throwing the pebble in the pond and the ripple, like
the ripple effect of that. Yeah.
When you're messed up too, there's a ripple effect too.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's touching everybody. Like even for me myself, like, you know, like it was like my daughter saying, you know, as a little kid, not even knowing what's going on, like saying, "Oh, Mom," you know, back when I was with my ex-wife, "Oh, Mom, everybody makes a mistake." Like begging for me to get, this is a little kid, dude. That ain't cool. Yeah. That ain't cool. You know what I mean? So, you know, and through all that though, like just like destroying, you know, like whatever it is, what it is now, it don't matter, but destroying like relationships and even with my family, like I had to get away from my family because it was all like drama,
chaos,
and you know, you can, even just because it's your family, you can be what you surround yourself around. And I didn't want to be like my family, man. So I eliminated myself out of that equation so I could get better, really, honestly. And I didn't even know how I was going to get better, like, you know, and all the way up until I came to, like, when we did whatever with the steps.
Yeah.
But before that, even I just knew I had to get away, dude, because
Yeah.
like nobody was trying to do anything, and it's sad to say it like that, but
Well, you're
like
the
feeling sorry for yourself, drama.
yeah, you're
You
the one
know,
that had to break the mold, man. You're the
yeah,
one that had to break the chains, where it's like, nah, not this, not this generation.
yeah, I
No.
don't want to do
And
that.
that's the blessing in me is like I had mom and dad. I had loving and supporting parents. I know my dad struggled when I came in and stayed in because he's like, you feel like you failed as a parent. And I said, let me tell you this, man. Like I was seeking out a recovery at the age of 21 because the way I was raised, I knew I was living right. I was living wrong.
Yeah.
Like I knew like there was morals and values that instilled in me to this day that like got me ahead of like everyone says, oh, we all come in the same place. Like, no, we don't.
Yeah.
There's some people that just don't know right from wrong.
Yeah.
Like, and I knew better. And I knew, like, man, like this is. I don't know what God's will is, but it ain't this.
Yeah, you ain't supposed to be using
Nah,
heroin after you just got sober and got.
And I don't wear that heroin thing like a badge of honor. Like I was more into like the Oxycontin, the Percocet epidemic, and that stole my soul. And I had a hard time kicking that than dope because I went on like a little 2-month run with that, sniffing it, whatever it was, and that's what happens. And it's only eventually. I thank God I didn't get into anything heavier than that. It was sniffing it, but like. Then it gets into shoot all that. I understand the cycle of
even me. I never wanted to do. You know what I mean? I was the same thing. Like Oxycontin, but your money gets low. You start. You know how you just fall into it. Like and you're like, how did I get here? Like it happened so fast.
Yeah.
You're like it's like a dog chasing, and you're like, how the hell did I get here? And I'm doing this. Yeah, I knew it was wrong too. Like I kept saying, what the fuck? Like I don't want to do this. Like who? Yeah, hey man. It's like walking into a Thanksgiving and saying, "Hey man, you know, I'm gonna go to the bathroom and do some heroin." What the fuck?
Well, that's what's crazy. Like, and it all
nothing's normal about it.
It all like really started out with some red Solo cups, man, at an early age. And like that's what I said. Like we made some adult ass decisions at an early age in life. I opened up doors I didn't realize I wasn't gonna be able to close for a long time.
Right? Yeah, like, progression.
I didn't mean to become this, man. It's just like, and it's almost like. As much as mom and dad played a part and did their job, it was like the neighborhood raises kids too. And, genetics loads the gun, environment pulls the trigger. Right? Like,
I heard a guy say one time, he said, yo, I used to pray when I first got sober. He said, I used to pray all the time that I didn't drink. He said, one day I felt like relapse. And he said, you might have heard the guy say the story. He said, I went to the bar and the door was locked. So I went around the side door. And he's like, the door's locked. And this guy pulls up in the car and he's like, yo, what are you doing? He's like, no, I want to get a drink. He's like, I thought you were sober. He's like, yeah, well, I feel like drinking. He said, well, Charlie or whatever the guy's name, Charlie died. He went to the meeting. They said, yeah, did you pray to stay sober? He said, yeah, well, you killed Charlie. I said, what? You know, like, I
never heard that one.
You know, it's like, dude, it's like, what the, like I told him today, John's behind the camera for everybody. John's always, behind the camera. Shout out to John. And I said, dude, man, I got messed up on drugs, and God knew I was going to, but he knew that I was going to be helping people to think that I'm talking shit, but I didn't mean for this to happen the way it did, but I'm actually proud and happy that it happened the way it happened because of what I do today. Well, today though, like I didn't say it back then.
Yeah, no, I don't think
nobody ever.
I don't think you can, right? Like that's, I mean, like I don't think I ever found this level of, peace of mind, a balance in my life between all these different, titles that I take seriously, that I love and I cherish, especially family, being a dad, being a husband, and really comfortability in my own skin. Like I never got that doing any of that other shit. I always felt a little bit different until I like came here, and like alcohol, drugs provided a pseudo effect for a long time until that stopped working.
What's 3 things in life that you stand by and like core values?
Core values. I mean, they're the 3 things that I always touch on as far as like what this program has afforded me is again peace of mind and how you get there, and what I believe is it's through others. It ain't through anything that I'm seeking. And like go figure, the more I'm centered in and work like making meetings and doing the deal with the 12 steps and helping guys, and like the better off I feel. Mm-hmm. Right? Like that's what I always say, like I need a 12-step program to learn how to live like an adult on a daily basis, because all my first ideas are dangerous, fattening, expensive, and illegal. Right? Like it's just like stupid shit that pops in your head, and it's like left to my own devices, like I believe that stuff. Like as I said, like I don't know where dudes that don't have this go. Where do they go? Like that don't have a program. If again, just kind of checking in with one another and holding each other accountable, and like when you fall short, it's like when this shit like when you mess up, when you do dumb shit, when you misbehave or act up at home, whatever it is, it's like don't justify your own behavior, man. Like rat yourself out, talk, and that's what I try to do. There's these titles that I carry as far as being a part of the job that I have and the family and the uncle, the godfather, the coach. I help people as far as training and shit like that. And like I love all that kind of stuff, man. It's neat.
Yeah.
And there's some work involved with that, and that's a blessing. And then again, like I always talk about, like the comfortability in my own skin. Like there's a reason why I'm here, with you in your basement, talking in front of people, because it's like my skin finally fits, man. Like I'm not going to bend, I'm not going to break to fit your mold.
Yeah.
And it's like maybe you like me, maybe you don't. Like it's okay. Like I finally like me.
Yeah.
I'm finally cool with who I am. And there's a reason why I speak up with all this kind of shit going on. Like that's what I talked about. I'm like there's just like there was too much nonsense going on in the world where like I can't remain silent anymore.
Yeah.
Like it was making me walk around like my shoes were tied too tight.
Yeah, no, yeah, people, yeah, no. I think people should know what's going on. I think people should use their own minds, not let society that's going on right now, society that you call it, tell them how to think.
Okay,
That's
an
ridiculous.
echo. It's an echo chamber, and
Yeah.
and I think like, listen, there's dudes that come into a 12-step program and they just want to belong and they stay. Whether some people I don't know, whether they alcoholics I don't know, but they stay. You want to know why? Because it's loving and it's welcoming, right? And they want to be a part of something, and they stay. It's cool. They can't hurt you, right? And they stay. And then I think that's what happens with these people that want to like have the echo chamber, say what everyone else is thinking because they want to belong. They don't have an identity. They don't even know what they want. Like that's what I mean. Like I got like woke dudes in the neighborhood. I'm like, whatever it is, like they're what? Okay, that's cool. My first question is always like, what's your girl believe? Like, and it's really like, dude, you just want a happy home. I'm cool with that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't tell me how to live, please. Yeah. It's like, like I didn't forget. Like, did you forget that you sold perks for like 2 decades in the neighborhood, and you're worried about vaccine status? Yeah. Like, come on, cuz, knock it off. That's the thing that pisses me off to where I'm like I don't. I'd
rather be hated and be real than everybody like me and be fake.
Well, that's what I said. Like
it's like goofy. You know what I mean? It's like why?
That's the thing. It's like, dude, if like you're liked by everybody, you probably stood for nothing.
Yeah, something's wrong.
Yeah. And it's okay.
With you as an individual. Yeah.
And that's the most part. Like I lead off with love. I lead off with kindness. And if it's not returned, like I ain't Jesus. I'm like fuck you, but fuck you too.
Yeah, don't crucify him. Don't crucify you.
like whatever, dude. Like man, that's what it is. It's like I don't like. I turn the other cheek, and I says no. And then what happens a lot of times for me is like I just minimize my interactions with you.
Well, I wasn't all right with myself for a long time, so I actually cared too much of what people thought. Yeah, really.
No, it's
and like you just said, like it was like at some point it's like, yo, dude, you know what? Fuck them, dude. They're gonna whether you do good or you do bad, they're gonna have something to say.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna believe them.
There's always going to be critics, and that's why, like with this, like I'll be honest with you, I won't watch this video. Mm-hmm. I won't look at the comments because it's like I'll listen to people if they hit me up or want to talk. I'm cool with that. I'll have conversations, but it's just like it doesn't really mean anything to me because it's like what's important is like when I lay my head on my pillow, like I got to be okay with me.
So what? This you ain't gonna watch it?
No, I just don't.
Not this one.
No, in my head I sound a lot cooler than on video. I don't sound that cool.
No, I think I enjoy. Hey, look, man, I enjoy doing this. I think you did phenomenal. But what you got any hobbies? Like I know you do.
I steadily work out, and the reason I don't have 8-pack abs is because I eat like dog shit. Okay. Like at the end of the day, I have no reason to make weight for anything. But like I'd love to eat. And I love to work out. Yeah. And like my working out, it happened in rehab. And the main reason I did it is like I did a good job of chemically destroying my brain and messing a lot of suffer from depression, all that kind of different shit. And been off of medication now and actually taking supplements and a hormone and all this different kind of stuff that actually helps heal like the pineal gland, like a conspiracy shit, right? Like, but it's the best I felt in a long time. But working out, and that's what I said, like more than anything, it's like I don't care about like what I look like. My main thing is like, what's it do up here?
That helps you mentally.
All day. That's almost like my prayer, my meditation for me. And not to say that I won't try to pray and meditate, but like that's what works. For that hour, there's nothing else that exists in the world, man. Like I'm just kind of just going to sweat.
I got a 1-pack.
Yeah, then I go and destroy it with like, they do the same shit. It's like I just can't stop eating. I love it. Yeah. And hobbies, like I'm stepping away from coaching, but now I'm starting to coach like my daughter's team and stuff like that. Again, 5-6-year-old soccer, like, dude, sign me up. Yeah. Like, what a cool innocence. They're picking grass on the sideline. They don't give a shit.
Picking their nose.
They don't care. They're holding hands running down the sideline. It's awesome. Yeah. Like, that's the gift, man. That's the beauty of, like being able to be sober and experience, like, a belly laugh with a kid. The first time I've ever cried, like, sobriety, like, is when I went trick-or-treating with my nephew, who was 3 years old, and I remember leaving and being like, wow. Like, I had no idea what I was missing out on, man. Because I was physically there for that kid, but I was mentally, emotionally, and spiritually checked out. So like hobbies, my kids, my family, my wife. We always do a lot of different stuff together, getting together. I'm down to check out anything and do anything, and always throw my name in the ring and give shit a shot. And I love shit that scares me more than anything. Like, and it doesn't have to be anything crazy or life threatening. It's just like stuff that like gets you like this. This is kind of like when I'm coming down here, I don't ever think about when I go to a meeting what I'm going to share. And this was kind of the same thing, but it's just a different aspect with a camera in your face, and you're going to put it out there on YouTube. I'm like, okay, let's see what happens.
Well, I do appreciate you coming. Sean also started his own podcast, Anything But Sports. Check it out. It's on YouTube. You know, it's going to be conversations more on the lines of anything.
Anything.
Really, I mean, but, you know, about freely thinking and actually.
I want the recovery story. I want the redemption story. I want the dude that's been on the sidelines for 30 years coaching youth sports and there's people that I work with like in the black community, and like these people have no idea how goddamn gnarly they are and what they've been through. Like I don't want to ruin their stories, but like the one dude grew up in like foster care and his brother was murdered by his mom, and I'm talking like a special human being, like a dude that I'm like, you have no idea how cool you are, dude. Like the way you turned out. And another one. This girl I work with, like her mom, was out in the streets, crackhead, never met her dad, all this kind of shit, and like how she turned out. She used to steal to provide and all this kind. Like they're the kind of people like I want to bring hope and unity and strength to every denomination, no matter what you look like, what's like. There's so many special stories out there. We get to bear witness to it all the time, being a part of a 12-step fellowship, but most people don't. Right? And that girl actually went and spoke at a school. And she said, I cried the whole time. I'm like, yeah, because your story's special.
It's freeing too.
It's special. Yeah, but to put yourself out there and really like touch on what the hell you went through and where you're at today. And
besides even recovery, like there's a lot of unique survival
They're not sober.
Stories.
Yeah, they're not sober cats.
It's just surviving a situation. It ain't got to be death or something like that. Like just surviving a whole entire lifestyle generation and situation and changing it around to the better.
Well, the news puts the shit out there because they fear and hate and war and all that shit sell. And I say it doesn't. I said that's just what we're used to. I think all these kind of shit sells too. And I think it'll be more powerful and more uplifting than the bullshit that we're being fed.
I agree. Well, yep. Thank you for coming. Definitely, Sean.
Thanks,
you know that.
You're a man, Robbie. Thank you.
Everybody, thank you for watching Evolution to Recovery, the podcast. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, hit the bell notification. And I appreciate everybody's support. And thank you very much. God bless. Have a good day.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, John.